Ariane, you were chasing the story. It's a sad story of a missing man from Jersey lost somewhere in New Hampshire. What do you got?
63-year-old lawyer Gregory Auriemma went on a hiking trip by himself in New Hampshire and has been missing for over 2 weeks. He left on June 24th and was expected to return on July 5th, but when he wasn't, his girlfriend reached out to his families to see if they had heard from him. I drove out to Toms River to meet up with Greg's younger brother, Kevin, who recently returned home from a search and rescue trip in New Hampshire to see if there were any recent developments on the case.
We left on Friday. We spent 2 days there. And came back on Monday. You know, in your head you have this image of being the guy that finds him in the woods leaning against a tree and, oh my God, you saved me, you know. But as time goes on, you think the likelihood of that is less than what you would hope.
Kevin, his other brother, and his nephew searched the campsite and waterbed on Mount Isolation in New Hampshire, where the Fish and Game Department suspect his brother was located when he went missing.
The park rangers were very assertive about the fact that, being people who didn't hike, it would take us 5 to 6 hours just to get to the campsite where the search would begin. Wow. So intend on spending overnight, and you have a better chance of getting injured than you have of finding him.
To make things worse, during Greg's hike on July 1st, there was a massive storm that hit the mountain.
Just going on probabilities, nobody knows. So let's say he's down near the riverbed fishing.
Right.
He doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't get weather alerts. Starts to rain, and then we're talking, in some cases, golf ball size hail, straight line winds, 4.5 inches of rain in an hour, like bad stuff. So rocks get wet, and what is normally tricky becomes almost you're unable to navigate it.
While things may seem bleak, Kevin and his family are holding out hope. They said that Greg was ever the optimist, and he was always a champion for perseverance and all things environmental. He was even acknowledged by President Obama as a champion for change.
There's something that President Obama instituted called the Champions of Change. Okay. And the idea was to recognize people who are active in the community in a positive way to try to effect change, and he was very excited about it and very proud of it, quite frankly.
Now, it's the height of hiking season on this particular trail, which is mainly where expert hikers go, and the family is just asking that anyone who decides to hit the trail in the next couple of days look for anything out of place, maybe an article of clothing, some branches that have been broken, anything that could lead them to where their family member is.
Experienced hiker, yes. Treacherous terrain. Anybody surprised he went by himself?
It's what he does. That's what his brother said. This is not out of the norm. He didn't have a cell phone with him because you wouldn't get any service up there.
Is law enforcement involved? And if so, have they asked questions about whether or not he is actually missing, or did he disappear on purpose?
At the very beginning of the search, people weren't that concerned that he was missing because it wasn't unlike Greg to spend a few more days on a hiking trail than he anticipated. But when it got to a week, people started to grow concerned. And when a hiker who had passed by a tent saw it again when she came back from her hike a week later, that is when authorities were concerned and sent out dogs and a whole man team.
No matter how experienced you are, you're not immune to nature. Things happen, and well, we'll say a prayer for a safe return.